Hello, Steve White, 89. Well, I finally got the Toys of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. It's a 750-page book. I've wanted it my whole life. I've always wanted a book that went through all the characters. And I heard about it a while ago and I was pretty excited and ordered it right away. Now, there was a little bit of disappointment. Now, aside from the usual, why do they do the first, like, double-page spread in blue when they could, you know, have a really nice piece of art here or something. At least if they'd done it red, it would match the packaging. That always annoys me about all these books. But yes, so we have a one-page forward and a one-page content guide, and then we get to the first chapter. Now, the only art you really see in these from the box arts is sort of these red sort of pages for the chapters. So chapter 1 is Masters of the Universe from 1982. Now I'm going to go through all the pages, but not the whole book. Now here's the first thing that disappointed me. The first thing you see when you open it is the Asteroid Line. Why? Because instead of doing it chronologically by the phases and the series from each year, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, they do them alphabetically for the whole series from all those years. So the first thing you see is the Asteroid Line, one of the meteorbs, which I hate, and I'd like to pretend don't exist. It's very hard to do when they're spread through all the other characters. So here's the basic format for each character. You have a picture, the main picture of the character, the accessories, you get the side and the back images. If they have a special feature, there will be just pictures of that. And you see the art, the box art and how they look in the box. And the back of the art, and then the vehicles, we usually see the side, the back and the side art and the bottom art as well for some of them. The problem with that is some of them are really small. You can't really appreciate the images. You can't really see them because they're too small. And in examples like this where the photograph of the box as you would actually see it, they really could have just had this section and that section and put them together on the page so this was bigger and more in focus instead of sort of being pushed back because it's further away distance-wise. So little things like that, I think they could have done better design-wise. Spread throughout, there's interviews with people like Ted Mayer, and I'm going to go through pretty much all of the ones I like. So Castle Grayscore, a bit disappointed that it didn't get a bigger image. It does get 2 pages, but I think it could have probably had a bit more because of the size and detail on that. So little things like that, like when you try and look at the box, the detail's so small. They have little fun factoids, most of them, and little notes, which gives you information on them. There's a couple of things I discovered I didn't know. I thought I knew everything about He-Man, but there was a couple of things I didn't know. And it goes through all of them in alphabetical order, like I said. Now, for example, Eternia gets 4 pages because of how many features it has, I guess, and its size. And there's a couple I actually don't have, like the Fright Fighter. There's some wasted space in some of them where they could have had more pictures. They could have had these pictures down here, so they could have had more space for the box art. So there's things like that bug me. Mark and Rebecca Taylor. Now, here's an interesting interview. And this, what is the point of this? I thought it was the original line art of the toys that were in like the first couple of issues of the mini comics, but it's not. It's just some random line art put over the packaging back artwork. I don't understand why did they just. If they're going to use a page for something like that, why don't they just reproduce the original card backs or something, or use the art from that? I don't know what the point of that is. It's just a waste of space. There's a few little moments like that in this book. I'm like, what were they thinking? But then, you know, I just focus on the fact that we have a page full of pictures for every character of the line. And, you know, I feel better. So I got an interview with Mark Ellis. Now, obviously, the resolution of this is not enough that anyone's going to be able to read these pages. So looking through these is not basically giving anyone the book for free. I just sort of wanted to give people an idea of what's in it. and so there's no surprises. So the people waiting for it to arrive who can't wait can have a look, and the people who are not sure if they should get it, because that's Rudy Alberto, his interview was nice. I find once I know what's in something, sometimes I want it, and sometimes if I don't know what's in something and I can only see like the cover and the back, I'm not sure if I want it. So I find these really useful when people actually look through things in detail. Another issue that is when they have multiple packaging and they put them all in this section, again, it's so small that you can't really appreciate the artwork, you can't really see it. So it's nice that it's included, but they probably could have done a little bit better with the spacing. Mark Diamello, or however you say that. So all the interviews are relevant to the actual line that you're actually looking at. The original line has about 146 pages, which doesn't seem like a lot out of 750. When you get to the end, sadly, at 146, they go through the gift sets and the mystery of the Savage He-Man, or One-Door, as he's often known. The world of variants from all the different factories. Now, this drives me nuts as well. It's a timeline color key, but I thought it was like the releases of the figures, but it's just random things like when the drawings and sketches were done, when the trademarks were done, when the concepts were done. I think the first use in commerce, which are the red ones, are actually the figures when they're released, but it's a bit confusing, and I sort of found it a bit pointless. Now we get to Chapter 2, Princess of Power from 1985. Again, the artwork, we really only see it like this, with the red sort of overlay. And now, the first thing about this that drove me a little nuts was the accessories are photographed on figures, and the way they're depicted, you'd almost think they're figures. You have to have a close look and go, oh, this is accessory. Otherwise you'd think it was a figure. And one of my first surprises was Bo had armour. I always thought mine was complete. I don't have the armour, so my bow isn't complete. I'm like, what the hell? So a couple little things like that surprised me. And again, like accessories. And it's an annoying reminder that my crystal castle is not complete because somebody said it was complete and I bought it and there were parts missing. So, yeah, I can almost forget till I see a photo of it and I'm reminded I'm missing parts. So I'm just going to go through the series that I like. I'm not going to go through every page because it will take forever. Janice Van Hamlin. It's an interesting story in there about Andy Warhol. There are a lot of interesting little stories and bits about the series coming from the interviews. They are worth the pages, but I would have rather them be all at the front or all at the back together, so you can look at them all together, sort of like a history, and read them together instead of having to look and find them, have them random. And here we have the same thing. They do the international variants and talk about the gift sets and the differences between the ones made in different countries and different factories. And we have the timeline color key again. And Chapter 3, the 1989 line of the New Adventures of He-Man. Yeah, we can just pretty much go through that at a pretty fast pace. I was glad to discover that I actually had the original, the main He-Man and Skeletor like I thought, although I was shocked to find out that, again, like Bo, he had armour. I thought mine, I didn't think it was complete because I don't have the shield, but I didn't realise he had armour. And I didn't realise the ship turned into 50 different variations. Okay, Chapter 4, Masters of the Universe Commemorative. This was surprising because they didn't have access to the original moulds and they had to create new moulds of the figures. So I'm glad I never bought any of them. I thought of buying some of them for the artwork because I had all the figures that were released. Now we get to the 2002 line. Now I understand why this failed as a toy line for kids. It's too complicated. There's too much detail, too many parts. How they expected kids to actually play with it, I don't know. They are geared more for the adults. And the Castle Grayskull, it looks nothing like the Castle Grayskull in the castle. How in the cartoon? How could they get that wrong? Like, this part here is not above the skull, and the eyes are all like squinty when they're, you know, proper open skull eyes like the original. So how they got something like that wrong in this day and age, I don't know. I bought it, I got it. I didn't realise how inaccurate it was till now, and now it's disappointing. And one of the things that happened with this, which I remember when it happened at the time, was it ended so much sooner than anyone expected, and they had to, Four Horsemen, of course, in view, they had to basically make a contract with Mattel and NECA to do statues to finish off the line, basically. So you started off with toys and you finished off with statues, which weren't allowed to articulate because Mattel wouldn't let them, because they had the rights to the actual toys. And I'm like, why wouldn't you let them just continue making articulated figures? I mean, they're shooting themselves in the foot, like, oh, no, we don't want to let you make what people want. It was bizarre. And I remember that time thinking, oh, they're done. I'm glad I didn't start collecting them, because I wouldn't have got all of them. And then the statues started coming out, and I was looking at the statues and thinking, here they are. Are they going to work? Can you sit there with the toys? They had more detail and so forth. Now the classics. This is huge. I didn't realise they made this many classics. Now I didn't start collecting the classics because I didn't want to start down this rabbit hole. Although there were a few I wanted, like they've got an articulated Battle Cat. They've got just nice designs. They've got things like Broom. So there's a few I'm thinking of just getting now after the fact. Now the Castle Grayscore here at least gets a few more pages than the other one. And the thing about this, because it drives me nuts, they still didn't fix this empty gap here when they really should have had a continuation of that tower. They at least have a proper floor. They did a good job of that. I kind of want that. Don't have it. And Catra is one I want. And they did the figures from the movies. They did them basically under the guise of focusing on the William Stout Collector's Edition Collector Series, which is basically the costume designer. So those are they're not the movie characters, they're the costume design as characters. That's how they got around that, copyright-wise, which, genius. They got them made either way. And yeah, so many of these I didn't realise how many there were. A couple I actually want, like the Goddess. There's the other Skeletor. And the Four Horsemen again in view because they were behind the Classics line, which was eventually ended a little, not quite prematurely, but before people wanted it, and then they end up continuing it through, was it, Sector 7 or something? I can't remember the name. But it was another company that continued the Classics line. And then they eventually did their own line. Super 7, that's it, Super 7. I guess I'm just going through every page. Madame Raz, I want Madame Raz. And we actually go through and look at these posters, which I think were included with the toys. So, because they had a hard time working out what to include, what they had to leave out. And they had to be very technical with just what is technically part of the line. Now, how the hell the carded figure protectors got in and got a page, I don't know. And the things that were left out, and then you consider they put that in. So one of the things I didn't like about the Classics line was the She-Ra figures had plastic hair. They didn't have brushable hair like the originals. Much like had they been made by the original. There's the He-Man from the movies. But it's not actually the He-Man from the movies, of course. It's the William Stout collection costume. Same difference. And yet it had the boys section done the She-Ra line, not the girls section, which, if you know anything about Mattel, were literally on other sides of the factory or building. They would have had plastic hair, they wouldn't have had the brushable hair and as much material, and they wouldn't have had the fashions, and they would have had actual jeopardy in the stories, and would have been a bit better, I think. And now we get into the what do they call this one that was the, it's all classics, but they had different phases of it. What was it called? Something about Grayscore. Yeah, so many of these. I had no idea they'd done this many. They've just done everything. They've done a one door. Oh, the Grayscore Club Grayscore. And these were ones that were based more on the Filmation characters, which I kind of want. But again, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. There's a couple I really, really want, and the rest I can do without. Like, I'd love an imp. Don't have an imp. So I love the fact they look just like the characters in the cartoons. I don't know why they did them 7 inches, so they don't. They could have done 6 inches, and they would have been sort of not matching. But you could have put them with the original figures, the 5.5, and you wouldn't have noticed so much. But the 7's too much of a difference. You get the Ultimate editions, which are just more detailed editions, the classics. They can do a lot of them. And then we get to the Super 7, which are the ones I like, because again they are the Filmation style ones, but they're actually the same size as the originals. They didn't do a lot of them though, unfortunately. I think I've got 6 of them, and I think I'm going to get a few more. And this is pretty much the end of the line, because they don't cover Origins in this, which I don't understand why, but I guess they haven't finished the line, but they could have just mentioned it and showed the first couple of waves or something. We get to the Glossary and stuff with the characters, and this was on the back. This is a separate page, and oddly enough, this, unlike all the other books, doesn't have a red ribbon bookmark, and had this on the back, so it's a little bit different from the others, but that's it. The toys of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Can't believe I got through it in 17 minutes. Feel free to share, like, subscribe, let me know what you think. Was I the only one disappointed by the format? Was it just me? Probably. Thanks, bye.